The Comedy MX Entertainment Channel spotlights unique videos found nowhere else. Visit world fairs, see atomic explosions, the golden age of trains, rare comedy features. You can even see the USA in your Chevrolet. It starts with a big capital E that stands for enjoy and never ends. So indulge your passions and binge watch all night.
I'm interested in my people becoming full citizens because of my faith in God. I realize that for freedom, there you must pay a great price.
This prayer pilgrimage is the greatest demonstration on behalf of civil rights since the writing of the Declaration of Independence. We feel that this crusade to Washington will speak just as profound as did the great document by the forefathers of this nation when they expressed to Great Britain that they were determined to be free and that they wanted their freedom.
This is the day. This is it. The pilgrims are coming to Washington, coming to our capital from all over for prayer and thanksgiving, coming to stand up for right and freedom. Washington is waiting. The pilgrims are coming. Today is a new day. We've got unity now. The church and labor and the NAACP all working together to bury Jim Crow. Today, the city of Washington takes notice. Our leaders, A. Philip Randolph, Roy Wilkins, Reverend King, received the keys to the city. Yes, this day's been a long time coming. Preparations have been going on for months all over the South, in all the big cities up north, just about all over the country. You might say this day's been 300 years in coming, ever since the first black woman taught her child. This is our country, too. Ever since the first black man said to himself, I'm going to be free, never stopped working for freedom, never stopped praying and hoping and fighting.
You said your Lord has sent you
The leaders are spreading the word around, explaining about the prayer pilgrimage, inviting folks to come to Washington. That's Rosa Parks from Montgomery, Alabama. And Reverend Kilgore, director of the prayer pilgrimage.
Negro church leaders recognize that through the years, the church has been a citadel of hope. It has given birth to many movements, to schools, to hospitals, and civil rights movements. The young Negro church leaders and others today recognize their position of leadership in a time like this.
Cleveland Robinson, New York labor leader.
The forces of segregation, the forces that would deny Negroes of their civil rights, are also the forces that are against labor. In order for labor to make progress and to raise the standards of living for all the workers, labor must fight for equality for all working people.
Harry Belafonte.
All my life I have firmly believed that as an artist and as a human being, I cannot isolate myself from the struggles of my people. That their victories are my victories and their defeats are my defeats.
Everywhere people are talking about the pilgrimage. A street rally in Harlem.
Wash my sins away.
To walk in Jerusalem just like John. I want to be ready, oh, I want to be ready.
The Reverend Martin Luther King of Montgomery, Alabama, co-chairman of the prayer pilgrimage.
To be ready, oh, I want to be ready. I want to be ready.
Congressman Adam Clayton Powell of New York.
I want to be ready.
Hewlin Jack, borough president of Manhattan. Roy Wilkins, executive secretary of NAACP, co-chairman of the prayer pilgrimage. All riding that freedom train. May 17th, a Friday, a work day. Took time off to come. Left the children with Grandma. Got up early in the morning. Our church hired buses. Union delegations are coming from Detroit, Chicago, St. Louis, North and South. And there are college students, lawyers, teachers, all kinds of folks, thousands and thousands. Some are losing a day's pay to come. Some are risking their jobs. Some have been told, better not go if you know what's good for you. But we're here. We're coming. Want to be part of this great day.
I'm a-rolling, I'm a-rolling, I'm a-rolling through an unfriendly world. I'm a-rolling, I'm a-rolling through an unfriendly world. I'm a-rolling, I'm a-rolling, I'm a-rolling through an unfriendly world. I'm a-rolling, rolling, rolling through an
Listen to us. This is why we have come here.
Personally, I'm going on it because I'm a Negro in the United States, and I feel that it is time for the governing body of this country to make a stand on the issue of equality for the Negro in the United States. We have petitioned and petitioned and petitioned.
I feel that this pilgrimage will show Congress that we are tired of being second-class citizens. Our people have come from all parts of the nation to impress Congress that we want the civil rights legislation passed in this session.
I think the support of the white means an awful lot. It means not only the Negro people themselves have a problem, but the white recognize the fact that there is a problem and that they're doing all they can to help, which I think is wonderful.
Organized labor is interested in civil rights not only because of what it will do to others, but what it will do to help expand the free trade union movement in this country. Civil rights is therefore important not only to minorities in the labor movement, but for all in the labor movement, because the labor movement is basically dedicated to advancing democratic rights for all citizens.
That was Ted Brown of AFL-CIO.
Some years ago, when I began working
and Youngstown Sheet and Tube Local 1011, there were jobs denied the rights of Negroes to work on. We organized a civil rights committee in our local, and through their work, we convinced the white brothers that Negroes were qualified to work on these jobs. And through their work, today, Negroes are working side by side with their white brothers.
Mr. Hobson came with the Negro and white delegation of steelworkers.
This is very, very inspiring, knowing that you were a part of it and knowing that you were doing it not only for yourself, but for all around you and for your children and those who are coming after you. I think it's one of the most important steps in history.
The children of Israel marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times, and they prayed, and the walls came tumbling down. And so we're going to pray today, and racial segregation is going to tumble down all over.
Co-chairman A. Philip Randolph, President, Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters.
We have come to memorialize the 3rd anniversary of the historic United States Supreme Court decision for the desegregation of public schools, a veritable emancipation proclamation of the mind and the human spirit. We have come to demonstrate the unity of the Negro and their allies, labor liberals and the church. We are here to tell those who worship the false gods of white supremacy to keep their evil hands off the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Reverend Weston, Unitarian Church.
Grant us the courage to enter into the arena of life and there battle intensely against all of the forces of injustice, exploitation, bigotry, and discrimination. Let's never take our faith in freedom for granted, that we salute it and go our way unchanged. For if we do not make it a part of us, if we do not root it in our hearts and in our minds, that faith will die and our nation shall die with it.
But we need not fear. Today, our heroic children are upholding the honor of the nation. James and Teresa Gordon of Clay, Kentucky, and the many others elsewhere. Dorothy Counts of Charlotte, North Carolina. Joanne Allen and Bobby Kane of Clinton, Tennessee. Elizabeth Eckford, one of the 9 of Little Rock, Arkansas. And so many more in Henderson, Kentucky, Nashville, Tennessee, Mansfield, Texas. Children, setting an example of courage and dignity for all of us. Co-chairman Roy Wilkins.
We are here because the rulers of the darkness of this world, the darkness of ignorance, arrogance, prejudice, and hatred, have permitted to rise up and ravage the peace of our nation, to recruit and inflame the wicked, and to browbeat the righteous. Now, my friends, we have gathered here today because certain principalities of government in our own land, certain powers in the ascendancy in many communities, have not only turned their faces from us, but have attacked us with the weapons of wickedness, with slander, with economic oppression, with tailor-made laws, with guns, and with bombs. We have been given not bread, but a stone, not peace, but a sword. Virginia and Texas and many states in between have set up laws against the NAACP to put it out of business. They would prevent us from going to court, and they would prevent colored people from lobbying against laws in the state legislature. My friends, these laws deny basic freedoms and deserve the attention of every American, or they will be used against whites as well as against us. Yes, my friends, we are in warfare for our rights, from local courthouses to the halls of Congress. We could have used some help in our fight. We can still use it. But we're holding up by ourselves, both because of our own spirits and because we know we're in tune with millions of our white fellow citizens in and out of the South. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed.
Yes, we had to find the cross in front of our church while we was in meeting. They throwed rocks into our parsonage. They shot through there, but we have had no violence. We only prayed that God would take care of our enemies and make us strong to pray for them. And I'm out here today to take a stand for rights for the people of Tallahassee, Florida.
All the people will stand.
Reverend Kilgore, Friendship Baptist Church.
And we will follow as the litany is printed on the program. It is a good thing to gather in this hallowed place to give thanks unto the Lord. Lift up your heart. Bless all people everywhere, and so turn the hearts of men toward each other that inequalities and injustices may disappear and the spirit of brotherhood may dwell among us. Bless the pilgrims who have come from far and near. Let each be fired inwardly to work and sacrifice for peace and freedom.
Mahalia Jackson.
And I've been abused, and I've been scorned all down. I've been talked about.
We are perplexed, but not in despair. We are marching and nothing will stop us. Reverend Milton Perry walked from Jersey City to Washington. Walked 230 miles. A Bible in his hand and his feet on the road to freedom.
May I say this, that I walked because the people of Montgomery, led by Reverend Martin Luther King, walked to maintain their human dignity and their rights. Let us all walk together for freedom, for liberty, and equality.
He walked like the with love. answering violence with standing together. Bayard Rustin.
There are three ways to deal with injustice. One is to accept it slavishly, or one can resist it with arms, or one can use nonviolence. The significance of nonviolence is that finally one depends upon his body and his spirit. He puts that into breach when everything else fails. Secondly, because the man who believes in nonviolence is prepared to be harmed, to be crushed, but he will never crush others. This is what the Southern Leaders Conference mean when they say, in our struggle, not one hair of one head of one white person is to be harmed.
We will now have reports from our fighters for freedom in the South.
Over and over the lesson of Montgomery has been repeated. Reverend Shuttlesworth of Birmingham, Alabama.
I have been bombed, but I'm not dead. And neither am I angry. We are simply determined to carry on this fight until victory is won.
Reverend Borders of Atlanta, Georgia. Reverend Davis of New Orleans, Louisiana. Reverend Steele of Tallahassee, Florida. We are studying that lesson, marching on down that road to freedom. Dr. Mordecai Johnson, President, Howard University.
This gathering is but a suggestion of the power of cooperation that lies within us. We must never forget this day. It must be to us a symbol of what greater things yet lie before us.
Adam Clayton Powell, Congressman from New York.
We're faced with a bipartisan Jim Crow policy. And we're not going to have a successful bipartisan foreign policy until we wipe out our bipartisan Jim Crow policy.
Charles Diggs, Congressman from Michigan.
The basic lesson to be learned today is as ancient as time itself. It is that there is power in unity. If there are no restrictions on your political participation back home, and you are not exercising your voting privilege, then you do not deserve the benefits of first-class citizenship.
Co-chairman Reverend Martin Luther King. Give us the ballot. Give us